go ahead and get started. Mr. Ramsey, I am going to let you take it away. Well, actually, I think there's a slide right after this to talk about the agenda. Yes, so the agenda tonight, just to kind of go over some of the things we'll be talking about. Student learning management system, so mostly Google Classroom. So Mr. Ramsey's going to talk a lot about accessing Google Classroom and how to navigate that. We'll go over the virtual schedule, so knowing when those synchronous class times are throughout the week that students are expected to be attending, time management, communication. We will be hearing from a current virtual student at Scott County and their experience and what they have found to be the most productive for them during this virtual time. Different resources will be shared out. We'll talk briefly about Edgenuity. We are aware that not every student is taking a course on the Edgenuity platform, but we wanted to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about technology and then also how to stay connected during this time as well. So again, if you have any questions, please use the chat box. We'll be monitoring that. So Mr. Ramsey, take it away.
All right, so I'm Mr. Ramsey. I'm a science teacher at the high school, but if any of you have had me for class, and my colleagues all know that I'm really into using technology as a way to connect with my students and to do some things that are interesting and engaging. I would definitely prefer to be doing totally in-person learning just like anybody else this year, I think. But this year, technology is crazy important as a way for us to be able to be connected and be able to do some things that are at least a little bit normal, right? So I want to go through some key things that everybody has at their disposal, hopefully, as long as you can get online. Even if your internet's a little dodgy, right? There's some ways you can employ our learning management system to actually make school not miserable. Okay, so I want to help everybody with that. So that's a key thing to be a successful virtual learner, right? And again, the learning management system for us in Scott County is Google Classroom. Okay, so it is the nexus. It is the place that you need to start your day every day to figure out what's going on, what's due. It's a place for you to communicate. It's a place where your teacher is going to connect you with third-party resources that are going to enrich your learning experience. So it might be AP Classroom that your AP teacher sends you to for an understanding check. It might be CK12 that your chemistry teacher sends you to for an activity. Khan Academy for a practice activity. News ELA to do some reading in your English class or other classes, right? But what's important is that you can get to everything, and your teacher is helping you do that through Google Classroom. But last but certainly not least is your teacher. So there are a lot of tools within Google Classroom, this learning management system, that allow you to connect with your teacher in a variety of ways. Okay, so let's look at it. So here's the lobby. Everybody's familiar with this if you've gone onto the app, or if you have signed in to classroom.google.com, right? So here it is. This is the lobby. You can see all your classes, right? But most of the time, people just come into the lobby and they go right to clicking on a particular class. I want you to hold up for just a second and let's look at a couple of really important features that I think are really nice in terms of helping people with time management and providing a little bit of structure. Because that's one thing that we know is a real difficulty, especially for learners that really need some additional help with executive function, that need some help with their schedule, right? So in the lobby, you have some multi-class features. In particular, you have this to-do feature up in the top left-hand corner. If a student clicks on this from the lobby, they're going to get some really useful stuff. So this is going to give them all the assigned things that are in all of their classes during a certain period of time. So I can look at my week at a glance by hitting that to-do list, and I can see out of any class what's due, right? So this is a good place to start to get a feel for what's going on. Now, it does have a filter. So you can see the drop down here. You can filter by class, because maybe you sign on, you're like, oh my gosh, that's too much, right? You can filter by class, right? You can also, from a triage perspective, maybe you're behind on things, you can click missing to see what you're behind on, right? So that'll give you a leg up on getting caught back up, all right? So there's also this feature. A lot of people don't realize that Google Classroom is tied in with the rest of the Google for Education productivity suite. So the calendar is your Google Calendar, and it's tied into every one of your classes. So anytime a teacher happens to put a due date on something, it's going to show up as an event on your Google Calendar. The other nice thing is if you come from the lobby, it's going to make a very clean version of Google Calendar. I think Google Calendar can be a little bit overwhelming, but this version of the view is just going to show you the stuff from your Google classes, right? Which can be very helpful. And if you click on these events, it'll give you links to those particular assignments, which is a really nice feature. Okay, so that's the lobby. Once you actually enter a classroom, once you go to, say, Mr. Ramsey's classroom, you're going to see 3 tabs at the top of your Google Classroom. Those 3 tabs are all really important, and they have different purposes, okay? There's a little bit of overlap, and you can see the overlap is something really important. Communication, 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 right? The stream, though, we'll start with it, is for announcements. It's a place where hopefully you're going to conveniently find your Meet links, your Zoom links for those synchronous sessions. You're going to have the schedule information so you know when you're supposed to be with your teacher and classmates to learn together, right? The classwork tab is access to your work, instructions, links to media, things that your teacher wants to get you to so your learning experience is not super boring, right? And lots of ways to communicate with your teacher and your classmates. And the people tab is a place where you can go and see who's in your class, your peers, but also, and I'm going to use plural, teachers. Because even when we're virtual, there's some aspects in Google Classroom that we're using so that it's not just that one classroom teacher. You'll see that there's a team of teachers and administrators in each one of your classes. So let's look at the stream. The stream's not too overwhelming, which is nice, and it's also laid out really nicely. So up at the top is what's called the banner, okay? If you're on a computer, you're gonna see all these details. This is a view from a computer. So you can see the class's title, hopefully you can see who the teacher is, what period it is, when they meet synchronously, and hopefully in that same area or in a pinned announcement, you're going to see how to access the Zoom or Meet sessions, right, when you need to be there. Also, you can see upcoming assignments there on the left. And it's only going to show stuff that's coming up fairly soon. You can click on that View All, and you'll be able to see other things that are due or coming up, okay? And that'll take you to the Classwork tab. Also, the announcements. The most recent thing is going to be sitting at the top. So if your teacher's got something important to say that day, this is where you're going to land. This is where they hope you're going to see that. So they might also send something out via Remind, but always check for a recent announcement when you show up to a class. You never know. There might be something you need to know right then and there. All right, so let's take a look at the Classwork tab. This one's busy. There's a whole lot going on here, but it's meant to be useful and easy. So we've got topics, and teachers use this differently because our classes are all really different. But get used to how your teacher is using topics to organize what's going on in your class. So in my classes, for example, I use units of study as my topics. Some teachers might be using it like, oh, they might have a topic for a particular week, right? But what's nice about the topics is you can click on one of those topics and it will get rid of all the other stuff and you'll just see the items in that topic, which is really handy. Now, this should be massive, and I've actually told this to the folks at Google several times. This View Your Work option That's incredibly important, because if you click on that, you're going to see what you have done, what you haven't done, what you need to get done, and if your teachers are using the grading feature in Google Classroom, you can see your overall grade and exactly how you've done on each one of those assignments. There's also another place. If your teacher's using Google Meet, you can click on the Google Meet icon and it'll get you into the meeting. Another place for you to access Google Calendar, and you have a link to Google Drive. So all the work that you have ever done on Google Classroom is in your school account Google Drive folder for Classroom. That's the easiest way to get there. A lot of people never think of going and looking and using the People tab. You need these people, right? Whether we're virtual or in person, you need to know who can help you out, right? So when you get a chance, students, as soon as you get a chance, go and look at the people that are there to help you, right? So it's almost never going to be just one teacher. So for example, in this class, you've got me, I'm the owner of the class, I'm the teacher of record for the class, right? But there's also Amanda Letcher, who is my wonderful collaborator, and look, Brian McIntyre, assistant principal, who's there to help us out if we need it, right? If you need to know how to get their email, you can just hover over that email icon and you'll be able to see what their email address is. Unfortunately, this district doesn't have Gmail turned on for students, but you at least know that that's their email, and you can go to outlook.com and enter it there. Now, I can't show your classmates here, but you can see who all's in your class. That's important. You need to know the people that are in your class. That's key to learning. You're going to have to work with some of these people. Some of the engagement structures we're going to use, you've got to work with them. All right, so that's the 3 tabs. All right, so now we're going to shift gears. I can't go into all the details about Google Classroom, but I have given some information that you guys have access to here in a little bit at the end of my slides that you'll be able to link to, including a more detailed tour, right? But one thing that we really need to help folks out with, and I know this because I've had so many students that are really struggling with this, is time management. And with virtual instruction, there's 3 really big things that you have got to stay on top of. One is the synchronous meetings. And no, they're not truly optional. They're key. They're important. That's your chance to meet and have 2-way conversations in real time with your teacher and with your peers. There are the asynchronous learning activities. This is going to take up more of your time. And I know folks hate to hear it, but learning takes time, right? The activities that we give you are not busy work. They're meant to help you learn. And there's check and connect. You really have to connect when you need to get the help and support that you need. So here's our school-wide synchronous meeting schedule, okay? And this only has the synchronous meetings and some spaces set aside to check and connect with your teachers. So we start the day out. If you've got a early morning class at 8:45, that's when you're going to meet with your teacher if you've got an early morning. Now, the days are different depending on conflicts, so make sure that you're aware of when your early morning teacher wants to meet. But everybody's going to meet with that teacher twice weekly. The other periods are easy to follow, right? So you have a meeting at 10 o'clock, noon, and 2. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be meeting from 10 to noon. Oh my gosh, that would be just awful. I got to be honest, right? Most of these meetings are only going to take between 20 and 40 minutes, right? So you're going to have time to do other things between these meetings, and you need to use that time. So let's look at how you can. So here's an amended version, and this is just a suggestion, right? And I've got an editable version of this that you can take advantage of, that you'll have access to on a later slide. But what's important to know is that the asynchronous learning has to have a period of time in your day when you do it. You're going to spend more time on the asynchronous activities than those synchronous meetings. Most of the students that have had difficulties staying on top of things and not letting the work snowball over the course of the week, just aren't making time in their day to do the asynchronous work. So do something like this, where you have a given place every day to do this work, right? And keep in mind, you have connection time every day. If you're struggling with something, you can contact your teacher, and they're generally available from 3 to 3:50, and they've got time set aside for you, right? The same thing on Friday. That whole day, we're monitoring our emails, our we're making sure that we're there to help you out, okay? Take advantage of those times. We might be able to set up individual meetings, phone calls. There's lots of ways we can connect and help you out, all right? But speaking of communication, you have several avenues you can use, right? Especially if your internet is super sketchy and it's unreliable, you can use Remind. So hopefully before we have to have nothing but this, for example, you guys know we're getting ready to go virtual. Remind all your peers that if their internet is dodgy, if the teacher has a Remind account for that class, get them on there, because you can use SMS texting, right? That doesn't suck up your data. It doesn't take an internet connection. You can get in touch with your teacher. We've got email, and it's important. Remember, your school email is on outlook.com, and I'm sure Mr. Baker is going to help us out with that, right? But if you have an assignment-specific question, if you need help with something specific, to avoid having to do like this game of 20 questions, what class am I in? What assignment are we talking about? Who is this I'm talking to, right? If you use the private comments on that assignment in Google Classroom, your teacher is going to know immediately, without you even having to tell them, what assignment you need help with, what class you're in, and they're going to get right to you. This is the most efficient way to get the help that you need. So we've got synchronous communication that you can take advantage of. It might be Google Meet. It might be Zoom, right? Both of these have a lot of the same features, right? Some teachers like me that are Google files use Google. Some teachers just are familiar and enjoy using Zoom and like the features there. As a virtual student, you're going to have to get used to both of them, just like I have to, right? I'm using Zoom right now. And never, ever, ever forget that you have the voice calling option, right? If your internet is not going to allow you to easily access Google Meet or Zoom, we do have options available where you're able to call in. Just make sure that you communicate with your teacher so that they can get you the necessary codes so that you can dial in, right? And of course, your phone doesn't look like that. Remember, if you're using a smartphone, you do have that voice call application, right? So again, these handy resources that I mentioned previously, right? I do have a Google Classroom student tour. You should watch that. If you're having trouble like learning how to submit stuff, if you're having trouble knowing that you can unsubmit and then resubmit something if you need to work on it, right? I've got lots of things to help you out there. Also, if you need help with anything to do with any of the Google for Education stuff, this Google Junior Training Series is awesome. It's a bunch of really nice, short, concise training videos, and it's sorted out so that you can search and find what you need. I also have some stuff for parents. In particular, this Teach From Anywhere site has some really useful things, along with a few other items, right? So that's it for me. So I think we're going to turn it over to Ms. Rashida Patel, who is just doing an outstanding job with her virtual learning. And I can say this because I've got her in Intro to Bio with Earth Space Science, and she is just knocking it out of the park. So listen to what she has to say. She's an expert.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey.
Yes, we are now going to talk with Rashida. So all of her teachers have great things to say about her. And we're kind of just going to do this in an interview style a little bit. So I'm going to ask Rashida some questions just about her experience as a virtual learner, and hopefully, you know, her experience people can learn from and take some tips away that some things that have worked for her during this virtual time. So Rashida, are you with us?
I am.
Wonderful. Okay, so on here I just have a list of your classes just to let everyone know kind of what you're working on this year. You have a full course load. So really just the first thing I want to ask is, what has your experience been so far with virtual learning?
It's been a lot better than I actually had thought it would. It's taught me a lot about time management and staying on track. And yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think one of the biggest things, and Mr. Ramsey touched on it, was staying organized and time management and everything. So how have you found the best way for you to stay organized and to structure your day to where you're joining those synchronous class meetings, you're working on those asynchronous lessons? How did you figure out the best structure of your day for you?
Personally, I like to make lists. Lists help me stay organized and, get all my stuff done. So I have a list on my laptop of when my classes are throughout the week and what time they start. I also have a Google Doc of all of my classes in order and the Zoom links, and I just open it up and it's just there for me. And I make a list beginning of the week of all my assignments that I need to get done for the week.
Perfect. So having kind of that one-stop shop where you can access everything you need for each classroom, knowing their meeting link, you don't have to search for it each day. You have it all right there. That's awesome advice. So what challenges have you faced so far? What's been a challenge for you?
I have a lot of trouble with audio issues for a bunch of teachers sometimes, because sometimes when they talk, it just cuts out a lot. But I found out that just, telling them that their audio is cutting out has helped a lot.
Perfect. So just that communication part is key. If you are struggling with something or you're experiencing a problem, just letting your teacher know and they can work with you on that. So great. Communication is key with any challenges, of course, with in-person teaching and learning, but also specifically, especially for virtual learning. So that's great. How do you maintain communication with teachers? How do you stay connected with them?
Have different ways they prefer to be reached or communicated with, but I usually remind text them, like Mr. Ramsey said. Sometimes I go to the assignment and there's a private comment thing, and I just ask them the question, and it's a lot more efficient.
Perfect. So again, communication. I feel like we keep going back to communication, talking with your teachers, seeing what they prefer, whether that's remind, email, what is the best way to stay in touch with your teacher. So that's great. And then I think one of the biggest things is being a virtual learner, you're doing it at home. I'm sure there's distractions, especially if you have siblings in the household. There's a lot of things that can distract us from staying on task. So how have you avoided those distractions while being at home learning?
Personally, I just try to have a quiet environment, whether that be just staying in my room and doing all my work, or letting my parents or my brother know that I'm going to be on a meeting or doing my classwork. So if they need something, then not to yell or, be of distraction.
Perfect. Okay. And then I think really just the last thing I'd like to ask you is, what advice would you give students who are new to virtual learning, and now that we are transitioning to everyone being virtual, what is some advice or something you wish you knew when you first started that would have helped you?
Honestly, don't stress yourself out as much. You don't need to stress yourself out. If you need help, all of your teachers are there for you. I really do suggest making lists and just have everything you need right there, just easy access. And work with your friends, honestly. It's very helpful, especially when you're not in person and with your friends. I've learned that, being on FaceTime or just being with them in person has helped a lot with doing my schoolwork as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Rashida, for sharing your experience with us, providing some helpful tips, making lists, doing those Google Docs, just having information kind of in a one-stop shop. And just, again, communication is key. I think that's the biggest takeaway, really. And that's awesome advice, reaching out to your classmates and your friends and, working together on this. So thank you so much for coming and spending time with us this evening and sharing your experience. We really appreciate you. And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, I think now we're going to transition to Mrs. Music, our librarian, and she's going to share some resources that will hopefully help you be successful in this virtual learning environment.
Thank you, Ms. Schwindel. Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Music. I'm the library media specialist here. This is my second year at Scott County. I also teach the English 101 and 102 dual credit class, and I am the co-yearbook sponsor as well. I've been helping out with the technology desk this year as well. I put some links on here. I've got a link to my Zoom office hours, which I'll show you. That's actually on the website as well, the library website, but you can actually join my Zoom office hours any day from 1 to 2 o'clock, and I'll show you some services that I can offer you during that time. Or you can even just email me and we can set up an appointment at a different time if that time doesn't work for you. And there's my email address as well. Mr. Ramsey, if you wouldn't care to go to the next slide for me, that'd be awesome. Thank you. So this is our library website. I want to show you first of all how to get there. So if you go to the Scott County High School website and click on quick links, so you see where I put the arrow there, and under quick links there'll be a lot of choices, and you scroll down to library website, and that will take you to what I'm about to show you, where we will offer you some library resources that will hopefully help you be a successful virtual student. So if you wouldn't care to click to the next slide. Thank you. So this is the library website. It's new for this year, as you can tell. It's got all those Bitmoji things and all that. Basically at the top, you're going to see different categories, and we're going to go through those here in just a minute, and I'll show you some services that we're offering. But basically everything you need is kind of on this home page. If you click on, like it says on the little whiteboard over there, click here to watch a video to get started. It's basically a tutorial of the website. You can click on me right there to email me. And basically each object will take you to something. So if you click that little pillow, it will take you to a form where you can receive personalized book recommendations, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I also am going to show you the form that if you click on that stack of books, you can request a book to be picked up or delivered. And this is going to be, I know, really crucial once we go back all virtual, that students can still check out books from the library. I know our English teachers require students to read 1 book per month for independent reading as part of their grade. So you will still be able to check out books, which is really awesome. And we did this back in the spring with kind of a pickup and delivery system, and it worked really well. So far, I've had almost 100 students this year fill out that form and request a book, and it has worked very, very well. You can also access the library catalog just to see what we have by clicking that little computer. And then over on the left side of the screen, I put what books I've been reading, and if you click them, it will take you to either a book trailer or just some information about that book. Then you will see a little symbol there that has little headphones in the book. That's for our ebooks and audiobooks, which I'm actually about to talk about on the entire next slide, so I'll get to that. There's also a link that takes you to the Scott County Public Library, and I'm going to show you some resources that they offer as well. And there's our Instagram page. You can click on that to join the library Instagram. On the bottom left corner, there's a little rug. That's the last thing. If you click that little rug, it will take you to the Zoom link where, like I said, I'm on a Zoom meeting every single day from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I just sit here in hopes that someone will show up. So, but if that time doesn't work for you and you have any questions, then you can just email me and we can find a time to meet. Mr. Ramsey, if you wouldn't care to click to the next slide. Thank you. So this year we have access to over 400 ebooks and audiobooks. And we knew going in that this was going to be really important because we wanted to offer students who were virtual the same types of resources that they would have as if they were in person. And this is going to be really crucial, of course, now that we're all going to be virtual. So in order to find these, there are a couple different ways. you can go to the library catalog that I showed you. You click that little computer there on the website, and you can just search for them. But the only way to actually check out an ebook or an audiobook is through that link on the website that I showed you that had the little symbol of the headphones and the book. You actually have to click that, and it will prompt you to log in, and you have to log in with your school. It'll say like, which account do you want? You pick like your school account, you know, like school/Google account, and you will be able to check out audiobooks and ebooks from there. And I know all the English teachers have given you a tutorial on how to do this already, so hopefully this is not anything too new, but if you have any questions about checking one out, then definitely let me know. Mr. Ramsey, if you wouldn't care to click to the next slide. So another feature on our library website is how to request a book. So if you want a book, there are a couple different things. When you're in person, which obviously is only the next 2 days, but when you're in person, you can still fill this out and I will deliver it to you. We're just basically delivering them to your English classrooms or just any class throughout the day if you're not at school for English. So you can still get your book if you don't have time, if you don't have a chance to get to the library, basically. And I think I'll continue to do this even when it's a normal school year, because I know some students never have time or your classes aren't near the library. So this has been really helpful. Like I said, we've had almost 100 students fill this out this year, and it's been really awesome. So you can check out up to 3 books at a time and keep them for 4 weeks. Let's see, also put on there, if you're a virtual student, then once you submit this form about what book you want, I will send you an email and tell you when your book is ready to be picked up. It's usually the very next day. And you can stop by the office anytime from 8:30 to 4 to pick up your book. To return your books, it says on there, you can just drop them at the front office, or there's even a box right outside the front door that says library books, and you can just place them there when you return them. So that's very handy. Yeah, Mr. Ramsey, if you'll go ahead and click to the next slide, thank you. And another feature that we started this year, I've not had as many students use this one, I really would like for them to. It's called the Lit Fix form. Basically, this is for students who don't know what book that they want, and they want some recommendations. So the way you do this, there's going to be some questions on this form that will ask you things like, what books did you like in the past? What TV shows do you like? What genres of books do you like to read? And there's a whole list that I give you that you can pick all that apply. And then I will send you an email with 3 recommendations, and you can either pick all 3 of them, because you can check out 3 books, of course, at a time, or 1, or however many you want, or you don't have to pick any of them. But I'll tell you a little bit about each book and kind of why I think you might like it based on what your responses were. So I'm hoping that we get a lot more interest in this form, especially once we go all virtual. So if your teacher is requiring you to have that monthly independent reading book and you have no idea what to check out, then fill out this form. It's quick and easy, and I will send you some recommendations. If you'll go ahead and click to the next slide, thank you. Some other features up at the very top, I wanted to show you some the little links that were at the very top of the website. Basically, there is, in addition to, of course, the library catalog, the next one is the Writing Center. So we started this last year, and it was for students who basically needed help with writing at any stage of the writing process. So most colleges and universities have a writing center in their library. So I wanted to do the same thing. I feel like that offering, having someone to sit there one-on-one with you for, 15, 20 minutes and look at your writing is one of the most helpful things you can do to become a better writer. So this could be if you're assigned an essay, if you're writing a resume, a short story, whatever, and at any stage of the writing process. So if you have just been assigned something to write and you don't even know how to get started, all the way up until you just need somebody to proofread and look at commas or anything in between, then I can help you with that. So you can do this by literally just joining the Zoom office hours meeting any day of the week from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, or you can contact me and we can set up an appointment. I also have under students, the little students tab, there are going to be some choices. One is book talks. I believe we have about 50 on there right now. They're about 1 minute each, so they're really short. If you just want to know some books that we have from all different genres, then I give you a little book talk about each one, like I said, about a minute, so it wouldn't take long to watch them and see if you're interested in checking any of them out. There's also some citation help. So if your teacher assigns you a research paper or any type of paper really, and they say, make sure this is in MLA format, and you don't know what that means or how to do MLA format, or if they say you need to have a bibliography at the end and you need to make sure that your citations are in APA format, you don't know how to do that, then there are some links under the citation help to help you out. And there's also some tutorials under students there. One is the library website tutorial, kind of like I'm giving you now, honestly. And then the other one is a tutorial that the public library has provided us that kind of goes over some of their services, and it's only about 5 minutes long. Finally, I just want to point out up in the upper right-hand corner up there, right before you see the About Mrs. Music sign, it says KYVL Research. So if you are assigned research and you have to find articles and we're not in school, you know, we're all virtual and you are having trouble finding resources, this is where you need to go to research. And your teachers will probably show you how to use this in your English classes. But that is a great resource for research. If you'll go ahead and go on to the next slide. I think we just have a couple more. I just want to briefly mention some public library services that are available as well, in case you aren't aware. The public library right now is only open, they're open Monday to Saturday, 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. In the mornings, they're actually reserving the mornings for curbside pickup. So that's really nice. If you want to request a book and not have to come in person, you can come and do curbside pickup. You can get Wi-Fi throughout the whole building there and in the parking lot as well if you just need to pull up and get your assignments, download them, go home. And there's no password required. They also have computers at the library, but right now there is a 30-minute time limit on using them. And it's very easy to get a library card. You can actually do it online. You do not have to go in person. You just click on the website, get a library card, and they will actually just mail it to you. That's what I did even, and they just mailed it to me. But the catch is a parent has to get a library card first before a student can do so, or anybody under 18 may do so. And lastly, yeah, we said curbside in the morning. Oh, and they're actually even doing porch delivery. So if you're listed as a member of a vulnerable population, as defined, they said, by the CDC, then they will actually bring books to your house and drop them off on your porch. So I thought that was awesome. And if you'll click to, I think there's one last slide. And lastly, there are specific resources for teens at the public library. I went to their website and found this list. They have homework help. They have book discussions. They're doing them on Zoom, of course, right now, but they're still going on like monthly, basically, book talks. They have teen programs. It says teen book suggestions, topics of interest. They do have a teen advisory board, which I know, I think one of the students last year was even on it, and a teen blog. So they have many different, well, they have other things too that aren't just for teens, but those are the ones that our students, of course, might be interested in. So you can go onto their website and check out everything that they offer. So that is all that I have. If you guys have any questions, of course, just let me know. You can hop onto that Zoom meeting any day from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, get help from the Writing Center, fill out those forms, get book requests, recommendations, and that's all going to continue when we're all virtual as well. So hopefully that works.
Before we move on, we've got one question from Les about if he needs a specific app to do the ebooks.
That is a great question. You don't have to have the app, but you can. There is an app, but as soon as you check out the book, it should allow you, well, it does, because I've actually done it, I've practiced it. I don't have the app. I just open it straight up on my computer and it just opens. There is an app though that you can download on your phone. I'm not sure how well it works. Sometimes they're kind of glitchy, but I just read it in the web browser. Yeah.
All right, everybody. I am Miss Ramsey. I do a little bit of everything at the school in different areas. I'm technically part library and part technology, if you don't know me, but I handle a lot of our social media posting and help with our websites and help desk. And I'm really there to back up Miss Music and Mr. Baker right now. But Edgenuity is a program that we are using a little bit differently this year. We normally used to use this for summer school. But right now, we're using it for classes that we will not be able to teach in person, such as PE or art or something of that nature. There's some great tools in Edgenuity that keep us on progress and let us know exactly what our progress is and what our grades are, and it's very easy. Will you go ahead and switch me to that next slide? Thank you. The picture you see over on our right is what a student sees when they log into Edgenuity. It shows all the classes that you're in Edgenuity, gives you the name of the class, and right underneath that is a progress line which is going to show you by a color coding on where you are. If you are caught up or behind, if you are ahead, it's going to show green, like the math course you see right there. The other two courses you see are red because the student is behind in those courses. But I know it's a little hard to see on here. There's a little line that runs across that progress line that shows you exactly where you should be to finish the course on time. To be right on task, that line will be blue. And right underneath that shows you your grades, your percentage in the course. It's very simple to keep on task. One of the things you need to know about Edgenuity is your goal should be to do a little bit every day. That way you're not overwhelmed and trying to rush to catch up towards the end. Could you switch me to that next slide? Edgenuity has something for parents as well called the Family Portal. We have very few parents that have signed up for that right now, so I just don't think most people know about it. And I am happy to sign you up if you just send me an email, preferably from the Infinite Campus email address that the parents have on file, and that way I know you are supposed to have access to your students' information. But there's two great features in the Family Portal. One shows you the progress, and it runs similarly to the students' progress with that top line showing you in color coding if you're behind, if you're ahead, or if they are right where they're supposed to be. It also gives you their tests, their quizzes, assignments that they have completed, how many are in the course, and what the grade is on each of those things. The picture to the right is the second thing you'll see in the Family Portal, and that's an attendance log. This shows you when a student has logged on and how much time they've spent while they were logged on actually working and how much was just idle. You can see in this picture on the right, on Tuesday, the student logged on for just a few seconds and didn't do anything. But then the next week, they logged on, spent about 43 minutes in the class, and almost all of it was spent time working and completing 6 assignments. It's great. This Family Portal is a great access for students and for parents. My son finds it easier to get the information from the Family Portal and understand it there than he does from the student end. It's just really whatever you prefer. And that's really all I've got to cover on Edgenuity. Again, if you need Family Portal access, just send me an email. I'll hand it over to Mr. Baker. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Baker. I'm the School Technology Coordinator at Scott County High School. You can see my contact information here. My email address is timothy.baker, because that's my official name, but I go by Tim. You also have my office number here. This is my direct line in case you need to call me. I'm going to talk about a few things to help with virtual learning. First one being our technology help desk. We'll talk about how to check student email, how you can access Infinite Campus, both as a parent and a student. And we'll also touch on updating your contact information within Infinite Campus. So with the help desk, this was something new that we started up just before the school year started. The Scott County Technology Help Desk is ran by 4 people. It's headed up by me, and then Miss Ramsey, Carrington Walker, and Mrs. Music. They all help out with this technology help desk. But our office hours for this is Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. We were super busy when school first started with students, being able to get passwords out, joining Zoom links, joining Google Meets. We calmed down a little bit once in-person classes started up, but since we'll be making this transition back to virtual, I'm sure things will ramp up when that time occurs. So, Mr. Ramsey, if you don't mind clicking that link there. So, yep, there we go. So that link takes you to more information about the help desk, like how to reach out to us. So there's 3 basic ways that you can reach out to the Scott County Help Desk. One is by phone, and you'll see 4 different phone numbers listed there. Those phone numbers actually direct to our cell phones. So, we don't want to share out our actual cell phone numbers. So these do direct to our cell phones. So if you call, if you don't get an answer, just leave us a voicemail and one of us will reach back out to you. The second way is through email. So we have the SCHS .helpdesk@scott.kyschools.us. All four of us monitor that email during the day. So if you send an email to it, one of us will reach back out to you. You can text us. So we have a remind group set up. So you can text in questions if you want. And then there's also the contact us form. So you can actually click it on that, and that is a Google form that you can fill out and submit questions as well. And the contact us is also linked to us at the very bottom of the website under resources. So you don't have to go directly to that page. Mr. Ramsey, you don't mind moving to the next slide? Thank you. So let's talk about checking student email next. Students probably need to be checking their email about at least once a day, especially once we go back to all virtual. They definitely need to be checking it once a day, because this is the primary method in which teachers will reach out to students if they have questions or issues. And so link there is directions on how students can check their school emails. Mr. Ramsey, if you don't mind opening that link. And so here's step-by-step directions on how students will access their school email. The biggest thing, or the biggest issue that I see with students accessing their email is a lot of times they want to go to gmail.com. And the district took some steps a couple of months ago. We actually turned off Gmail in the district. So if a student's on a district device, they actually can't even get to gmail.com. But all school email is routed through outlook.com. And for most students, once they get there, they'll do sign in. For most students, their username should be their first name last name at stu.scott.kyschools.us. However, we have a couple of students that have numbers in their email addresses. They probably know if they do or don't. And then for the email, or for the password, for most students, it's going to be their first initial, last initial, and 6-digit birthday. That is our default password that we use. But if a student has changed that password at school, it's going to be something different. Now, if the student doesn't know their password, that's where you'd want to reach out to me. So you can either email me, call me, and I can get that password reset and get it out to you and help the students get logged in. Now, that email address and that password that they're using, that's the same login credentials that they'll use for Google Classroom, getting into enriching students, any Google-related service. Pretty much the only things that don't use this username and password is Infinite Campus and Edgenuity. Those use different credentials to log in, but anything else is going to be using this school email address and password. So next we'll talk about Infinite Campus. So with Infinite Campus, parents and students probably need to be checking that one at least twice a week. And the two things you're really looking for in Infinite Campus when you log in is you're looking for grades. You know, that's usually the #1 thing that parents and students are wanting to check for, but you also want to take a look at attendance, make sure that your attendance is accurate. So Mr. Ramsey, if you don't mind clicking that file link. So similar to that email directions, there's one for Infinite Campus. So parents and students can both access Infinite Campus. And you'll access it for the same link. It's just once you click on that link, it'll ask you if you're a parent or a student. So of course, if you're a student, you click student. If you're a parent, click parent. For a student, the username is going to be their student ID number. Typically, that's printed on any kind of schedule or grade report that they'll get. You can find your student ID number there. And the default password for Infinite Campus is the same one that we use for school email. It's that first initial, last initial, and then the 6-digit birthday. And same deal here as with the email. If you don't know your login information, you can reach out to me. But for Infinite Campus, you can also reach out to Shannon True, who is our secretary in the guidance office. She also has the ability to reset student passwords. Now, for parents, it's a little bit different. For this one, you actually have to set this account up. And so if you've never set up your account before, you'll want to email me or Shannon first, because there's this GUID number that you'll need to create your account. It's this really, really long number. And so we can send that to you and give you directions on how to set up your account. But when you do that, you'll create your own username, your own password, and then you'll be able to log in and see basically the same information that your student sees. And so again, if you have questions with that, just reach out to me and let me know. I can walk you through the entire process. All right, next part is about updating your contact information in Infinite Campus. So if you contact a school, and let's say you email me and you're needing that GUID number to set up your Infinite Campus account, I can only send that information to the contact address that we have listed in IC. So if you contact me from a different email, I'm going to tell you that you will have to go contact Ms. Cornett, who's our registrar, and update that information before I can send that to you. So it's really important that you make sure that your contact information, your phone numbers, your email addresses, all that kind of stuff is up to date in Infinite Campus. If you're able to log in to Infinite Campus, you can check that by clicking on your avatar. It's like up in the top right-hand corner, and I believe it's account or settings. I can't remember which one exactly it is. It's one of those two. It's either account or settings. You can go in and see what your contact info is. And if you see any discrepancies in there, reach out to Ms. Cornett and she can get those fixed for you. And then the last thing I want to mention is everything I just talked about, those the flyers that you saw about how to get into email, how to get into Infinite Campus, as well as the virtual school day calendars that Mr. Ramsey showed earlier. All this is available on our school website under our Back to School 2021 page. To get to that, you can go to the SCHS website, click on Quick Links over in the upper right, and then go to Back to School 2021, and then you'll see a lot of the information that we've talked about this evening listed there. And I think that's all I got. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. I am Mrs. Schwindel. I don't know if I even introduced myself earlier, but I'm Mrs. Schwindel. I'm one of the school counselors at Scott County. You can see Mr. Cook here and Mrs. Anderson. They're the other two counselors that work with students. So I just have a few things I would like to mention just about staying connected and keeping in touch with your counselor and reaching out for help. So I just want to go over a few things like that with you all. First thing is just talking about virtual learning. So we've heard from multiple people, multiple individuals tonight about virtual learning, but just really understanding what virtual learning is and the responsibility that comes with it. So balancing school and other priorities. We talked about, getting distracted at home and things like that. There's a lot of flexibility that comes with virtual learning. You're not in a Zoom session all day, every day for each one of your classes. So just trying to figure out how to do time management, how to just structure your day. Like we talked with Rashida, our student, she just has a structure in her day and she follows it because she's not in person and not going to a period of class each day. So those are all really important things. There's a lot of independence that comes with being virtual and having those extra hours in the day. And it's really easy to not do some things. So also balancing school and other priorities like work. So I know a lot of students are taking advantage of the flexible schedule that virtual learning provides them, and they are potentially working a job to help out their family. But again, just knowing that responsibility and taking the initiative that, you are still a student and there are still expectations and you need to put your your learning number one priority. So just finding that balance is really, really important. We also, also assumptions with virtual learning, communication is key. If you don't receive something from a teacher about a Zoom link, don't just assume there is no Zoom link and there are no live classes. Like reach out, take that initiative. If you are confused about something or you have a challenge, reach out and ask for help. That is the biggest thing, is communication. And then also those connection Fridays, and Mr. Ramsey went over the virtual schedule. Every day in the afternoon, teachers are free for students to contact, of course. They don't have live, meetings during that time, but also all day Friday. That is what it's for. It's Connection Friday. So, if a student needs some extra help on something, or they have, they want to meet one-on-one with their teacher and go over an assignment, Friday is when they can schedule that time. So these are just all important things to keep in mind when, students are virtual learners. Okay, so staying connected. So within the counseling department, we have created some specific Google Classrooms for each grade level. At the beginning of the school year, we sent invitations out to all student email accounts. So all students should have been invited. So if they go into their Google Classroom account, there should be an invitation waiting for them, or there should be an email in their student email account with that invitation as well. If they can't find that or anything, these are the codes. We have these on our school website. They're on social media, but this is a great place for students to just keep in touch with the counselors. We post a lot of information just about college visits, ordering your transcript, how to sign up to see and talk to your counselor. There's just a little bit of everything. Testing, senior pictures. We do a little bit of everything and push out a lot of announcements and important information on these Google Classrooms. So please make sure that your student is a part of these so they can stay up to date with what we are pushing out. We also have some social media and some remind groups that students should be following and being a part of. We do have a Scott County High School Counselor Facebook page this year, which we're really excited about. So please feel free to engage with us there. We also have a Twitter account. So if you're on Twitter, please follow us. And then we do have the Scott County High School Counselor Remind. So that is something that, for events, we'll push out reminders, information about report cards coming out. So we don't, we don't text you every day, but we do push out the important things. So that's something that you can join as well. And again, another way to just connect with us. There is a virtual advisory Google Classroom as well. And so instead of having our card time in person now, it will all be virtual. And so there's a lot of good information that is posted on there. And then I also linked just the guidance website where you can access scholarships and those types of things. But again, everything on our website, we're really trying to push out in our counseling Google Classroom as well. So if you're a part of that, you should be getting all the information that's on our website. Okay. Okay, so one thing I hear from students all the time, I get emails from students, I don't know my teacher's email, because we talk and they may be struggling with an assignment. So they reach out to their counselor, which is great. Reach out to whoever you can. But this is where you can find your teacher's email. And Mr. Ramsey mentioned also in Google Classroom, you can hover over your teacher and their email will be there. But you can also just search on the school website. So if you go to the school website, that contact icon right there at the top, and you click here for complete staff directory, and you can look up your teacher and there's the email. Again, see if there's a remind group that you can join. So instead of emailing, if you can just send a quick text, that might be, better for you. So there are multiple ways to find contact information. But again, just ask for help. So if you know someone like myself, if I'm your counselor and we've been talking, feel free to email me and I can get you that information. But there are multiple ways for you to get that information so you can access your teachers when you need them. Okay, and then something else I want to mention is if you are having internet issues or 1 week your internet just goes out and it's going to take a week to fix or anything like that, we do have free Wi-Fi throughout the district. So there's a link here that you'll be able to access later. It's the community tech zones. It's on the website as well. But there are public places where you can access the internet. So restaurants, they have free Wi-Fi. There's a list of those. Public outdoor locations, BCTC is offering that. The public library, the pavilion, churches, our parking lot at Scott County. You can go and sit in your car and access free Wi-Fi from there. So just know there are multiple places for you to access Wi-Fi if you are struggling in accessing that at home. So you'll be able to get that resource, look into that later. And I just wanted to highlight some support services that we offer as well. So our youth service center, Miss Flynn and Miss Albenzi, they are wonderful. They are great people to reach out to if you are struggling in any way. Again, as well as your counselors, we are here to help you, and we can always, connect you with our youth service center if it's appropriate. But this is a list of a lot of the things that they do for our students and for our families. So if you're reading this list and you might need assistance in one of these areas, please feel free to reach out to them, or again, reach out to your counselor and we can connect you. We want to make sure that we are, again, communicating with each other and asking for that help, especially in this virtual time. We can't physically check on a student, bring them up to our office, see how they're doing. So we really, during this virtual time, please reach out if you need help. And our youth service center is amazing, and Ms. Albenzi and Ms. Flynn are wonderful. So we just wanted to put that on your radar. And this is how you can contact your counselors. So I've put their email, all our email addresses there. We are split up by the alphabet, by last name, but we help all students. But that is the person, wherever your last name falls, that is, we're looking at your transcript frequently and your student schedule. So we're gonna know a little bit more about you if you fall into our part of the alphabet. But again, anyone can help you. We also have a bit.ly, a form that you can fill out. So this is used for in-person students, but it's also for virtual students. So when you click on the form, it'll ask you some questions, and whatever you may need help on. That way, we as counselors can reach out to you and assist you in that. We also, with the youth service center, I talked about different things that they can support you. Mental health referrals was one of them, but also the counselors are there for that as well. And when you fill out this form, there's some questions it'll ask you and kind of narrow down what you need help with. And one of those is mental health. And so again, please reach out. And this is one way you can do that, through email or just filling this out, and then we will contact you when we're available. Okay, so that is all we have for tonight to present to you all. I hope this information will be useful for you. Again, we will be sharing this recorded presentation so you can watch it back and you can access all the links that were in this presentation, especially with us going all virtual now. We'll be sending this out to all students and all families, so this will be a great resource within itself to just access everything you need to know about virtual learning. I'm sure we'll push out just more and more information. Again, this is new for everyone, so we're all learning as we go, but I truly hope that this will be a great resource for you to share with your student and help them become, successful in this virtual environment. And again, communication is key. Please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help, how we can make things better, all of that. So thank you all so much for attending. I don't think we have any questions in the chat. We'll kind of hang out here for a second to see if anyone has any questions. But again, just we will be pushing this out so you can rewatch it and share it with your student if they weren't able to attend, or share it with your friends, anyone, because we're all going to be needing it here soon. So. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions come into the chat, so we'll just leave it there. Thank you all again. Feel free to log off. Stick around if you do have a question, but thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope everyone has a great evening.
All right, Ms. Schwindel, before we sign off as hosts, what we'll want to do to ensure that the recording is good and ready to go, and you might have to have some patience with this, is I think when you